Welcome back to the Common Sense Podcast, where common minds come together because common sense
ain't that common, y'all. And today, hold on, first of all, let's address something. I know we've been going for a long time. I promise you guys. We're going to be back on it. We're going to be back on our regular program schedule. You know how life works. Right?
We also have another special episode coming out for you guys after this one. We got some good stuff coming back to apologize for being away for so long. Please forgive us.
But today we're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, guys. We went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and we gotta talk about Marvel now. Did that save Marvel, or is the Marvel franchise dead? We're gonna talk about it. Hit that intro.
So before we get into the video, if you have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine, click off of this video, save it, come back and watch it later after you finish it, because this is about to be spoiler central.
Alright, so after Deadpool and Wolverine, me and D'Angelo were really talking about, because we thought that was going to be the knockout punch for Marvel as far as movies go. Like, okay, we're back with this one. We put two of our top categories of superhero in there. So the first thing I kind of want to ask you, what were your thoughts after watching the Deadpool and Wolverine movie?
Okay. Firstly, I would just like to say it's kind of exactly what I thought it was going to be, specifically from a Deadpool movie. We know that Wolverine is put in it as well, but anything with Deadpool is going to be, giggles, fun, not taken seriously at all. So it was what I expected from that point of view. However, my critique of the movie would be I would say it was very entertaining. The intro sequence with Deadpool dancing to Bye Bye Bye, that was cool. I liked all of I'm a Deadpool fan. Deadpool is one of my top characters from Marvel. But I would say, as far as like the entire movie as a whole, I think that the story element of it was a little underdeveloped. I feel like the movie was heavily reliant on the presence of Deadpool and Wolverine, as well as the chemistry between those two, as well as the cameos that were a part of the film as well. So I would say that's my initial reaction to it. Like you said, it was supposed to be the knockout punch. It didn't give me knockout punch. Like, it didn't give me like, oh, okay, Marvel's back for real. But it was good, as far as I would say it was a good, entertaining, enjoyable movie to laugh, have fun.
I think it was underwhelming. I mean, I hate to say it because I know everyone's excited, everyone's huge on Deadpool. I personally am not huge on Deadpool. Like, he's a superhero I would like to watch. I've seen both of Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2 up to this one, and so honestly, well, going into the movie, it wasn't exactly, I mean, it's kind of what I expected from the Deadpool universe as far as the goofiness and what all Deadpool does in his universe. I'm not as big of a Deadpool fan as most people, or D'Angelo right here. I think you see what, top 3?
Yeah.
Superhero for you. He's not top 10 for me, but I think as far as what he brings to just a movie in general, the first Deadpool, the second Deadpool was funny. It had its moments. But I think what made this movie so awkward in certain circumstances is just the drastic differences between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman as actors. I think everything you see Wolverine in is super serious. Deadpool is the polar opposite. Maybe that's why they thought that they would be the perfect pairing for a movie like this. But it felt like, as far as chemistry, I didn't really see any between the two characters other than when they were fighting each other. So, I mean, I didn't really see too much that made me think, wow, like, this one was a really good movie. Because to me, it was like maybe a 6 out of 10. I'm not going to give it a 5 out of 10, but it was like a 6 out of 10. It was kind of underwhelming for what I thought it was going to be when you have two superstar people like that. As far as characters, I thought it was going to be a way better movie than what it ended up being. But like we said, we thought it was going to be the punch back for the Marvel universe, because honestly, ever since Endgame, they've been kind of treading down extremely slowly. Like, Far From Home, as the first watch, when you watch Far From Home, as far as Spider-Man, it's like, oh my god, it's like all the nostalgic and stuff like that. But it's like, does it have replayability? I don't think it does as much as other Marvel movies have had. And so honestly, I thought this was gonna be the saving grace for Marvel, but it felt like it wasn't. So like, where as far as the Marvel movies go, like, do you see it heading now? Do you think it's a tread downward or upward after this one?
I mean, with the big announcement with Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom, I feel like
that seems desperate too.
Okay, I don't really know how to take that move. Like, in my opinion, it's great because we get to see Robert Downey Jr. as a talent again, but also it's like, okay, will we be seeing Iron Man playing Doctor Doom, or will he be able to completely transform into another person? Which I think he probably will, because it's Robert Downey Jr. But at the same time, for them to cast him as Doctor Doom, it's kind of like you said, it gives a little bit of desperate at the same time.
I think they messed up with the whole entire multiverse thing. And honestly, it's funny because Deadpool alludes to that during the movie, that this is crazy because of the whole multiverse thing. I think it honestly ended Marvel's depth and how serious you can take their stories, because, I mean, there's no stakes when we can just go back in time or go to another dimension and find another one of these somewhere characters.
Else, find another copy.
That's what I'm saying. It has taken all the stakes out of it. And I think when you added the TVA and everything with Loki, which honestly, tell me how y'all feel. I couldn't get through Loki in the Disney Plus series. I thought it was a little slow. I thought it was a little slow, so I couldn't get through it. I think the only one I've really watched was WandaVision. I couldn't get through She-Hulk, and I watched the Captain America one. I think that one.
I watched that one.
That one was.
I think that was
probably the best one. That was probably the best one. But it's just like, especially, so we got with the multiverse, and then you have all the Disney Plus things. To me, it was like, it's too much going on. Like, it's not a straight and narrow story. They kind of got away from what makes them so good. Like, Marvel right now is what like Kanye West is right now as like an artist. Like, we know he was like really great in the past, but right now it's like, when he drops, do we get a little excited? Yeah, but it's all kind of mid. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly where Marvel is.
Unless
to me,
you're like the like die hard, like right.
But even fans. I was a die hard. I'm a die hard Marvel fan, and it still hasn't gotten one. I think the best Marvel movie since Endgame is Guardians 3.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Yeah,
that was it. And they still come kind of from, the Endgame cycle. We've already been introduced to those characters, so it was kind of an easy floating for them. Right. What makes a good Marvel movie for you?
I would say relatability. And of course, that may sound crazy to some of you guys. Like, you can't relate to someone who has superpowers, but that's not really what I'm referring to.
Name a good one with relatability then, just so people can know what you're talking about.
Like, I guess just off the top of my head, I would think Peter Parker. Just simply because, like, or just the character of Peter Parker, just because, even though he's learning to, he gets the spider powers, but he also, while learning about his powers, learning how to control it, he also deals with personal life problems like Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And he also learns that with great power comes great responsibility. That's something that you could take from not even just having Spider-Man powers, like in real life. Like, when you have power, you have responsibilities. And that's just something that just popped up in my head. I would probably think about something else as an example as well, but you can relate to certain characters and their inner struggles in their life, not just because they have superpowers.
So kind of like in Spider-Man 2, where he lost his powers, he was in the funk, he couldn't really do anything
anymore. I do not think that everything needs to connect to make a good story.
I think so too.
But everything needs to be cohesive. Like, everything needs to make sense.
Nothing made sense in Deadpool Wolverine.
Yeah, I would say, I would say there, and we'll come back to that.
Okay.
But I would say, like, you notice how before Endgame, I won't say everyone, but the important characters, the Avengers, everyone that needed a movie basically got a movie.
Right.
I guess you could say that. Like,
even Ant-Man.
Yeah, like, everybody had their own movie. Everybody had their own story. We had a chance to build and learn.
And they didn't deal with other heroes yet.
Right, yeah. So it was like, we learned all of these people individually as time came across. And then you got the Avengers, where everyone came together. And so when I mean interconnection, I mean we're learning about these characters solely by themselves, like the Iron Mans, the Thors, Captain America. We learn about them individually, and we get enough context and background around them, and then when they come together, it's an even more smash of a movie because we have connections to all of these characters. And then of course Marvel is known for the after credit scenes like that are really important as well when it comes to interconnection, putting them together. Like literally Marvel is known for, you do not leave the theater after the credits. Everyone sits down. And why is that? Because each movie connects to each other somehow. As far as like bringing that on topic with the Deadpool and Wolverine, there was a whole lot of stuff going on, but there was not a lot of explaining put behind it.
Charles having a sister.
Right, Charles having a sister. All this other things, Paradox. Like,
we didn't see what happened to the X-Men that Wolverine's universe happened to. Like, they said they all died to humans.
Right.
So, that's very interesting as well. Magneto didn't kill the X-Men. Humans did.
Right.
Which is something, it's just like, how?
Yeah,
like you tell me he pulled up to the mansion and they killed all the X-Men.
I think this was hard for someone who is just a general fan. Of course, when it comes to the Marvel fan base, we have people that are knee deep in the comics, and then you have people who aren't knee deep in the comics. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are people who just watch the movies. I feel like a fan who just watches the movies wouldn't be able to really understand and comprehend most of the stuff that happened in this film.
And going back to what makes a Marvel movie good, I honestly had a list of things. I think the Marvel universe has lost its star power. I think when you look at the Avengers or Marvel as a whole, the Avengers are kind of like the cream of the crop. As far as superhero teams in comics, I think of my top 3 would probably be the Justice League. I think they're probably the most popular superhero team of all time. Then I'd probably put the X-Men, and then I'd probably put the Avengers right there at 3rd. But what the Marvel Universe did by killing off Iron Man, Captain America, the two pillars, I think has really brought them down in a way that they don't have enough star power. And I think star power is what sells the movies. Look what they did to the Hulk. The Hulk is not even the Hulk anymore. It has killed another fan favorite. Because, the Hulk, remember the little Hulk mini hands? Yeah. The Hulk was his own thing before the Avengers and was just as popular. I would say the 2008 Hulk movie? That was, to me, more popular than the Iron Man movies and all the other things, because Hulk had his own fan base. And they've kind of miniaturized Hulk, especially when you watch the She-Hulk series.
They made him seem like he was just completely like a weakling compared to She-Hulk.
And there's not enough star power in the universe anymore, and to me that's what drives everything. I think the star power is what made us go to the movies so much. And it was even for some of the simple movies, like we had Ghost Rider movies. We had many. There were so many stars, and now they're dwindling on stars. Now could it be like contract stuff? Maybe. So we don't necessarily know all of that, but to me the star power of Marvel has died, and that's what makes those movies so good. I think number 2 for me is a world with established rules. There's no rules
and multiverse is gone.
There's no rules. There's no rules. Like because I mean you could go back in time, you can do all these things. Some rules apply to others that don't apply to this, and we don't necessarily have a good backing of reasons to do that. To me, all the good Marvel movies had their own world, and if you did anything outside of the world, you just couldn't do it. You just couldn't. Those things didn't work for you. And I think you need a good to great antagonist. I say good to great because not everyone's gonna be Thanos, okay? And I think everybody needs to kind of get away from that. I feel like the whole Thanos thing was executed perfectly. I don't think that's probably the best Marvel villain. We have Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom. I don't think he'll be as good as the Thanos we saw, but I mean it's up for interpretation. Hopefully he does do good, but I think all good to great Marvel movies had a great antagonist, and I think you kind of need that. You just can't have a villain that's just bad to be bad. And the last thing was the over the top fight scenes. I think that has to be in every Marvel movie for it to be good. And I know you're more on story, but to me the story, it has to make sense. Like all superhero stories have to do is make sense. They don't have to be. They don't have to be so profound. So deep. They just gotta make sense. Have a beginning, middle, and end that is cohesive. In my opinion, to have a good superhero movie. But while we're on the topic of superhero movies, what are your top 5 Marvel films right now?
All right, I had that. And by the way, I think your criteria is solid. I would agree with that as well.
Okay,
I would agree with your criteria as well. So my top 5 Marvel movies.
You naming them in order, or is it in
No,
order?
No,
it's not in order.
It's not in order.
Okay.
It's not in order.
Okay.
So before I say this, are we counting Sony Marvel?
Yes.
Okay. So my top 5 are Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
great one,
Spider-Man 2,
okay,
Civil War, and Winter Soldier.
Okay, so we have almost the same list, but I have a different one. So I numbered mine.
You numbered yours.
I took the dare. I numbered mine. So my number 1 was Infinity War. My number 2 is Logan, and I'm gonna continue to say this. I think if Infinity War wasn't with the villain winning, Logan to me is hands down the best Marvel movie ever created. Because honestly, to me, it was more story driven than any other Marvel movie, in my opinion. I think you finally saw like Wolverine have that satisfying ending, because his whole thing with his character is he can't die.
Yeah, he
Everyone
can't die.
around him dies.
Right.
So it's like to see him go out the way he went, it was just like, that was the perfect ending to Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? But you know, they're bringing him back till he's 90, right? Like that till you're 90. I had Guardians 3 at 3. I had Spider-Man 2 at 4 and Civil War at 5. And I think those movies just had everything that you wanted.
Everything.
All the fight scenes, all the everything. I think when you even looking at Spider-Man 2 that came out so long ago, the train scene, iconic. It is iconic. It is everything Spider-Man is supposed to be. In Civil War, when they met at the airport and it was up.
Bruh, Civil War, and that's another thing that I was saying, how every one of those stories connect with each other.
Right. And they can introduce new characters too, because we saw Black Panther in that movie. We saw a lot of other people. Even first of all, Infinity War was almost nothing but hands.
Right.
It was nothing but hands the whole time. But then it was like, oh, the villain's about to win and the movie's gonna go off.
Right.
You know, it was just the way it was set up. Everything was set up so good. Honestly, honorable mention, Thor Ragnarok was really good as well. About just my list, but all of these movies have had those scenes. They had a cohesive story. We saw our hero struggle a little bit, and that's what got to it. You know, I feel like kind of like you said, not every Marvel movie has to connect. We had those standalone films that were just standalone films. We don't know if there's gonna be an Avenger or not.
Right.
But we was like, this is a good film.
And I just want to throw a disclaimer out there, y'all. My friends, all of my friends know, everybody that knows me knows, I am a story head. Like, I love story. Like, most of the time, and I just want to say, not everything has to have the most profound story. Y'all have seen my channel and y'all gonna think, oh my god, the Attack on Titan fan, you know, and the story makes it for me. Like, yes, I can watch blood and gore and throwing hands all day, which is cool. That's fine. I love watching that stuff. But if the story is not there, it's not gonna really rank up for me, and it's not gonna have that rewatchability for me if the story is not there. So some stuff may be different for other people, but for me, I hold story to a high regard.
Tell us what you thought about Deadpool and Wolverine first, of course. Let us know what you rated it out of 10. And tell me how you feel about the Marvel Universe. Are you excited for the future? Are you kind of down in the dumps like me because you kind of think this thing is already on fire? Tell us which one you think of. Is there anything you want to say to end off?
Also, y'all, let us know if there's any Easter eggs or any background information from the comics that we are missing that would have made this movie a little bit better in our opinion, or if there's some context that we're missing that would make the story a little bit more cohesive. Let us know what we're missing. Comic book heads, let us know. Like the video, subscribe, share with your friends, and we will see you guys in the next episode of Common Sense, and we out.